Yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
If you are struggling with the beginning of your novel, and maybe you just don't know what to write, or maybe you feel like you've got lost, I think it's natural to assume that you're struggling with structure. And yeah, that might be the case. The first 5 points that we're going to talk about in this video are structural tips for how to help the middle of your novel. But I also think there's a possibility that you might be having some sort of character problem. And so the last 4 points of this video are going to talk about character issues and talk about how if you really know your character and know how to make them change, it's going to help you revive the middle of your novel. And
oh shit, where'd the sound go?
Let's start with...
Did the sound just dip out for you? Hold on, did the sound just dip out for you guys like super fucking hard? It got like super quiet all of a sudden. And I do remember Bomb Dropper. 1, my favorite anime is High School DxD. 2 is Rent a Girlfriend. 3 is 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. Well, I could definitely guess that, Zoink, because you're probably a 12-year-old. Just gonna say, man, you act like you're fucking 12, bro. And that doesn't help. True, Levi, true. Prop it up with a tent pole.
Prop it up with a tent pole. Now, most writers keep...
Wombat, welcome, welcome. How's it going, sir? How are you today? Are you ready for more storytelling? Bro, did you watch the new anime? No, Bomb Dropper. I don't have time usually to do that. Like, I'm barely caught up on Rick and Morty. I haven't even watched episode 7 yet. It's episode 7, right? That came out yesterday? Session 0 for my D&D game got delayed, so I have more time for food lore! Hell yeah, Wombat! That's awesome! Not that it got delayed, because I mean that probably sucks that it got delayed, but the fact that it gives you more time to develop out stuff, so I guess you don't feel as rushed, right? Your anime taste needs to shower more, Zoink. True, Levi. He is a true degenerate. So... Bomb Dropper, what would the new anime be? Because I have no idea what the new season of anime, if any of it is. I haven't watched VidTube in forever, and that's where I used to get, like, updates on what to, like, watch for the next, like, season of anime. Because I could usually pick, like, 1 or 2 anime that I could fit in, like, my schedule. Because, like, at the moment, I'm watching Andor Season 2 and Rick and Morty. And that pretty much takes up everything. And I still haven't even started watching Andor because I've been having to binge on Rick and Morty. But I think now we're fully caught up.
All their climactic material for the end of the novel, where, you know, the climax naturally appears. But a tent pole is a climactic event that happens right in the middle.
Okay. Tent pole is climactic event that happens near the middle of the story. So we have multiple tent poles. We have a tent pole at a quarter way. We have a tent pole at halfway. And we have a tent pole at 3/4 way. Which is the confrontation with Fafnir. You can watch it in Muse Asia. Not now. You can watch later, I guess. Oh, it's like hasn't dropped subs yet or something like that? Okay, so let's see. Book 1, tent pole 1 would be Death of Zaid and the Rise of Husai. Tent pole 2 would be acquisition of Emerald Weapon and completion of the 100-year quest. Tentpole 3. It has subtitle. Okay, I always watch subtitle. My top 10 shows of all time, not all are anime. 1, Sword Art Online. Abridged. 2, Solo Leveling. 3, Arcane. 4, The Dragon Prince. 5 Free Run Beyond Journey's End, 6 Gravity Falls, 7 Attack on Titan, 8 Death Note, 9 Avatar Last Airbender, 10 Hunter x Hunter. That is an amazing top 10. Let's see if I can do my top 10. Let's see. Berserk. If we're including movies as well, I would say Princess Mononoke. Actually, no, let's redo that. Now, Akira. Akira is number 1, then Berserk, then Princess Mononoke. Then probably Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Just because I fucking grew up with it. Steins Gate. Yeah, I guess Sword Art can go here. So Sword Art Online. Like, I really want to say JoJo's. It should be higher on the list, but it's just... And if we're going, like, outside of anime, then we're hitting, like, movies now. Like, The Prestige. Fracture. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. For movies, I have Princess Bride, Free Guy. Free Guy's so good. Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Whiplash, Ender's Game, The Hunger Games, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Forrest Gump, The Shawshank Redemption, Red Notice. We have a whole spreadsheet where I list movies and shows I've seen and rank them. So we have this. We have this friend. I had this friend. He's still a friend, but I don't live there anymore since I moved. Known him since like high school, and we call him. Forgive my French. We call him the white guy who thinks he's black in a brown man's body. So he's a brown guy, but he completely acts like your typical white rapper. White gangster all the way. And we have this list because he's Indian, right? So he never grew up like watching movies. So we have this list called Captain Canada's Must Watch. And it's like all the movies that he's never seen. Like, oh, here's another. This would be my 10th one. Full Metal Jacket. Like, he's never seen Full Metal Jacket. He's never seen Team America. He's never... Wait, isn't the film industry huge in India? Yeah, but his mom wouldn't let him watch these movies because, like... Yeah, I mean, he's like 25, 26 now, but, like... He just never had the chance. Is, like, number 30 on my list. Nice. Full Metal Jacket, so good. But yeah, that'd probably be, like, just off the top of my head, like a good top 3. Alright, and then the tentpole number 3 is, Confronting Fafner. With an 86 out of 100, very good film. Very good. But, you know, there's so many, it's so hard to fit them all in there, right? Because there's just fucking way too many of them. And you're like, oh, I gotta shift everything around. That's why I don't really care. Top 10 can be basically any order. Maybe top 3 can shift. like the least. But it's all within like a certain realm, right? But we're about to drop into some ads here, boys. So we'll just hold off on this. And I'm guessing it's just gonna take you a long time to write that out, Bomb Dropper, because I'm still waiting for your top list. I'm like, wait, did you not you get distracted, bro? We going on a tangent here? Oh, break tangent. Ad break. Fuck ads. What? Fucking ads. We hate ads. Ads are bad. Ads are bad and calm. Drugs are bad and calm. New season of Squid Game dropped, and a couple episodes in now. It's a step up from season 2. I heard good things about it, Wombat. I still haven't watched Squid Games. I still need to also watch like the new season of Black Mirror too. That was like last fucking year. Like, god damn, streaming takes way too much time. Way too much time. Cause it's like, I gotta stream, then I gotta do all the editing, then I gotta do all the promoting, then I gotta do all of the writing that just like comes naturally with like being a writer. Then I have to do all of the like figuring out like the week's worth of commentary, like what videos am I gonna react to, like how am I gonna improve the stream today, right? Only seen a couple episodes of Black Mirror. There's the USS Callister, and then there was the one where you could block people to make them not see your face. Ah, Black Mirror is really good, except for the very first episode of the entire series. Never watched that one, the pig fucking one. I mean, what a way to start a series, right? Where everyone, even years later, is like, yeah, just don't watch the first episode and you'll be completely fine. Like, that is some fucking shit right there. That's like Dan to Dan. The first episode is borderline NSFW. Yeah, that's another one I was told not to watch. If you don't like high school, high school on the. But then again, you know, watch something like, fuck, what the hell is that? Oh God. It's like an anime where only women get powers. But this one dude, like, gets powers because, like, his powers he can get from the women, and it's, like, the main character is, like, her power is to, like, command you to do, or, like, trade to do something, or something like that, and it's, like, super fucking sexual, super fucked up, but it was really, really fucking good. I cannot remember what the fucking name of it was. Messed up part is that it is actually important to the story. Well, that makes sense. But yeah, I wish I knew what that one was called. They get summoned to like a different world, and it's like there's like these other beings there, and it's like he's trying to find like his sister, and it turns out she's like one of these people over there, and there's like, I don't know, it's not quite an isekai. I mean, you know the plot of Dan to Dan, right? It's two kids trying to get a kid's stolen balls back. Yes, his balls were stolen. And see, I had no idea. All I know is that it was, like, borderline fucked up, and, like, most of the story developed in the second half of the series. That's pretty much what I heard.
Of your novel. Think of it as kind of a proto-climax. Now, the advantage of having tentpole right in the middle of your novel is it divides the middle of your novel into 2 sections, which I think makes it a little bit more manageable. And having a tentpole is very satisfying for the reader because they get this big surprise or twist or story moving forward, and that entices them to read all the way to the end because they're now anticipating the absolute big climax. A tentpole is also a sort of point of no.
And the power system of the show is aliens versus cryptids versus ghosts. Okay, that's interesting. Combine them all together. Fuck it.
Return.
All we need, we just might as well just say SCPs.
Your character, so the character knows, and also the reader knows, like there's no going back after this point.
Yeah.
They're committed to the story in a more significant way. Now, an example of this might be Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. And spoiler alert, if you don't know the
Hunter x Hunter. See, I didn't put Hunter x Hunter on there, even though it's so amazing. But it's like, well, Dragon Ball Z, same. It's like, it's just so, those are just to me are so mainstream standard that I don't know. Dragon Ball Z, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, That Time I Got Reincarnated. Slime is so fucking... Why'd you put Hunter x Hunter twice, bro? Wait, Last Mission, it's a movie. Wait, there's a movie? Wait, when did that come out? Is that like from 1999? Oh, that was actually... Oh, I might have actually watched this. I'm not sure. Shippuden could be a contender. Wait, this is in between before the Ant arc? I probably watched this. What's the movie about? They announced Edgerunners 2? Yes! Oh my god, I'm so excited for that, Levi. Edgerunners is so fucking good. Okay, maybe I haven't watched this. This is all about Netero. Maybe I never did watch this. I didn't start watching Hunter x Hunter until like 2018, 2019. Never heard of this movie, but by the title, I guess it's Kurapika getting more eyes. Yeah, apparently it's all about Netero. That sounds really cool. I fucking love... Yeah, it's about the chairman. Yeah.
The book or the movie. But in the middle of this book, we suddenly get a POV shift, and we start getting it from Amy Dunn's point of view, and we realize Amy is not only alive, Nick hasn't killed her, but also she has very carefully plotted a way to frame her husband for her murder. It's just this huge, jaw-dropping moment in the book, and it's not at the very end, it happens in the middle. So if you can, erect that tentpole right in the middle of your book. It'll give you something to write towards and then to write off on for the second section of that middle. Now,
and that would be Zayd's death overall.
The second step is to
juice the story. All right.
A lot of writers make the mistake of the stakes that they have in the beginning of the novel are the same stakes that they have all the way to the end of the book. That's a problem. What you want...
The stakes at the beginning of the book should not be the stakes at the end of the book. Stakes need to shift over the book as the world is developed.
What you want to have in your book is stakes at the beginning of your novel and then escalate by the middle of the novel to make things even more dire and even more important. Let's look at the film
Escalate the
County,
stakes.
which is...
Because it goes from being just the main characters are, like, in trouble kind of idea, to, oh, the entire tree is in trouble, to, oh shit, the entire continent is in trouble, to, oh fuck, the entire world is in trouble. Well, of course not. If you had the same stakes at the end, at the beginning as the end, they would be cold. You need to let them rest before you eat, but not that long. Exactly, Wombat. You know, it's like, it's pretty much beef jerky by that point.
Actually where I'm from in California. In the beginning of the movie, the big question is, will he or won't he be able to get into college? Specifically...
Well, the question at the beginning of the book is... Which is actually funny, because we never answer it. It's like, did I just get blackmailed? Or, like, am I getting blackmailed? Let's run away. That's pretty much what fucking happens at the beginning of the book, if you really, really think about it. And that kind of, like, shows a little bit to Husai's character, in the fact of he's just literally looking for an excuse to get the fuck out of there. And he's like, alright, okay, something's fucked. We gotta figure something out. We gotta do something. I'm a big fan of, oh heck, now the world is at stake. Oh fuck, my best friend is about to die. And that being ironically an escalation. That's true, Wombat, because it's closer to the character. Because even if the entire world is at stake, you know that your party is okay. And as long as your party is okay, you feel like you can conquer the world. Should we treat drafts as stakes, where you wait 15 days rather than minutes before tearing into them to rip them apart? That's probably a good idea, Sean. I wait 150 days. It's actually been almost 150 days since we wrote Chapter 1. But I don't plan on going back to it until, like, August. So we're still a month away from that. So I want to write Duart's Adventure, like 2 or 3 chapters of it, to kind of feel for keeping things together and keeping characters on track. And we're going to stick with the character profiles, because that's really important to Chapter 1. I'm having steak after the fucking stream. That's what I do, bros. All about that steak.
Stanford. Now, the stakes in that case are, he's worried about...
So I download Discord and delete Instagram. Bomb Dropper, how old are you? I'm back on my keto diet tomorrow. It's steak for lunch. Took the 4th of July weekend off of it. Ah. Nice. I just do whatever the fuck I want. Which mainly revolves around not eating, because I'm lazy as fuck. So I usually have like 1 giant meal a day, or like 1.5 meals, where I have like fries or something like that, like some sort of appetizer. Maybe like soup, something like that, and then I'll have like steak or like lasagna or like tacos. True, I don't know how those 3 square meals fellas do it. Yeah, Levi, that's too much food for me, man. I'm a small guy. I don't need that much food. I'm fat as fuck, and I just graduated college. If I don't lose weight now, I never will, you know? Well, that's not true. Could always be like Nikado. You put time, effort, and like strategy into it, you can lose hundreds of pounds. You just have to be willing to actually do it. It's not too much food, it's too much work. Oh, it's too much food for me. I couldn't eat that much. I'd be like, ugh. Ugh. Not even hungry, guys.
Very much this existential stakes of, will my...
So I guess then the stakes become... It's a matter of discipline. I can't let myself wait. I lost like 20 pounds in the last 2 months. If I continue at this pace, I'll be at a healthy weight by this time next year. Nice, that's epic, Wombat. Hopefully you keep on that style, because, you know, being at a healthy weight is a good thing. Super underestimated. You know. I'm lucky in the fact that I just don't give a fuck about food, really. It's like, yeah, it's good and shit, but it's like, it's so much effort and work to eat, to make food and shit. Because I make basically, I love cooking and stuff, but it's just like, I like to cook once and then have meals for the week, right? Or just like cans of chili, maybe. Something super easy to do. Steaks become... Is the tree in trouble and the adventurer world because of the looming Beastmen War? Which is kind of hinted at, but is never really takes shape until they go to Garuda. Stakes become more dramatic with the death of Zaid and the reveal of how bad the monarch is. I'm a solid cook. My issue is that especially when I was younger, I'd eat not when I was hungry, but when I was bored. Ooh, yeah, that's bad, Wombat. Bored eating. That's why I play RuneScape. If I'm bored, I just play RuneScape, because then I'm just like absorbed for like 18 hours. But I haven't been bored in years. I haven't played RuneScape forever. That's usually my go-to if I'm like, man, I'm really fucking bored. I got nothing to do for like 8 hours. Now it's like, man, I could sit down for 15 minutes and relax. Oh wait, I forgot to do something. No, I can't. Fuck. Stakes get even bigger with the reveal of... Bored eating couldn't work because I'm always bored. Ah.
life matter. I want to make it matter, so I want to get into college. However, the middle of the story radically escalates those stakes. He goes to Stanford and ends up lighting the admissions building on fire accidentally. So now what are the stakes? Oh, now the stakes are, is he going to go to jail for arson? Those are significantly higher stakes. There's also a raising of the personal stakes because his girlfriend Ashley says, oh, if you go to college, like you're gonna have to break up for me. So now we're not just dealing with an existential crisis, we're dealing with, oh, I'm gonna have to break up with my girlfriend. But raising the stakes is only one way to juice your story here in the middle. A second way would be to have some sort of reversal in the middle. So reversals can take many different forms. It might be that the character themselves are reversing their position in some way. Maybe they're completely changing in a different character. They go from
Fafnir is
being a
good,
villain,
Viceroy
having very
is
strict
bad.
moral standards to no longer having moral standards. Or it might be that someone else reverses on them. Their mentor figure or their sidekick or their best friends ends up betraying them in some way. That could be a reversal. So suddenly everything that we've had for the whole beginning and middle of the story is now switched around. And what that does is it gives you enough story fuel to write the second half of the middle. Now, a third thing that you can do to juice the story is to employ Chandler's Law. This comes...
All right. Chandler's Law.
From Raymond Chandler, and he just said, if you get stuck in your story...
You should watch Squid Game explained by Korea. Oh, I could imagine that.
Just have a guy with a gun come into the scene. And I think the bigger picture idea here is you've been writing with certain characters, have an outsider come into the mix.
That would be probably Fafnir.
some sort of outsider, which will stir up the pot.
Just drop
create
the
new
link,
story
bomb dropper.
opportunities for
If you want me to watch
to
something,
run
drop the
with
link.
for the rest of your middle. Now, if you want more ways to juice your story, check out my video on 9 shocking strategies to keep your reader awake until 2 a.m. I detail a lot more in that video. I cover stuff like twists and surprises and a whole bunch of other stuff, so I'll put the link in the description so you can check that out when you're done with this one. Now, this next idea for what you can do for your middle is one that not a lot of writers think of. It's number 3, throw in a digression.
Throw in a digression.
Digression is basically a chunk of your novel that seems disconnected from the main plot line. But the reason you might want to throw it in is maybe it connects metaphorically with what the theme is in your book.
Okay, let's think about this. Is like the 3 chapters of Husai in his depression a digression? I mean, it pulls you away from the entirety of the story, locks himself in his office, and he gets obsessed with all of Zaid's papers, as if he's like a detective in a room trying to solve a case. So the entire, like, identity of the story through Husai's eyes completely shifts here to almost something mundane to the reader, until you find out that Zaid discovered the Warriors of Light. And even from the beginning, Husai's like, this doesn't make any sense. What was he trying to say? Like, and he's like lining up graphs, looking at like basically character data, like for each of the adventurers, and looking at like from the top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40, top 50, 60, 70, 80, all the way up to like the top, like, say 400, and trying to like line those graphs up on paper. And it's like the way that Zaid had it set up, you could fold them all over each other to basically have a flow graph of like the different stages, whether you want to have all of them on it, whether you only wanted a limited one, and that allowed for him to present his data, but also kind of hide it, because he was like, this is fucked up. There's something wrong here. People need to see this, but I don't want to bring attention to it in this way, kind of idea. And then he's like, alright, well, let's just go along with it like this. So it's just literally a mystery piece of Husai trying to piece everything together, with, like, the other characters basically, like, trying to cheer him up. And him saying, I'm not depressed. I'm just trying to figure it out. Wombat's random plot idea. A person has a prophecy told about them, but through the process of trying to fulfill it, they accidentally cause it to not happen. A flip on the traditional tragic prophecy structure. Interesting, Wombat. My thing was, I always loved from the Golden Compass, if you tell Lyra if anyone tells Lyra what she's supposed to do, then her mission will be, like, it will fail. And it's like, that's such an interesting way to go if you have the enemy that knows what the main character needs to do, and it's like all these forces trying to stop the enemy from getting to the main character just to tell the main character what their destiny is so that their destiny never comes true. But trying your entire life to, like, try and make a prophecy come true, and then you wind up making it not come true is, like, that's pretty interesting, too. I like that idea, Wombat. There's a lot you can play with that. Zaid Husai studying Zaid's notes and Various and Gluttony making the play for Zaid's immortalization.
or maybe it helps the protagonist learn something which gets them to the next stage of the journey. And the strategy here is, if you have been aiming directly at your plot, just hammering through those plot lines, and suddenly you get stuck, well, maybe take a step back and come at the plot from an oblique angle, from the side. And maybe that'll give you the step that you need to push forward with your plot. For an example of this, let's look at Haruki Murakami's The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. There is a section in this novel, I think about halfway through, where there's a whole chapter in which an old soldier tells the protagonist a long story. The story is set in World War II. He was a Japanese soldier and he is going into Manchuria. They end up getting captured by the Soviets and a guy ends up getting skinned alive, and then the witness gets thrown in a well. Now readers might be wondering, okay, this isn't the protagonist. Why are we getting such a long story about this? It's definitely a digression. And I think the reason why is it's echoing what's happening in the other part of the novel. It's teaching us something about war, and that's something that Murakami wants to comment on thematically. And also, the guy that gets thrown in a well, the protagonist ends up going into a well in other parts of the story. So it's talking metaphorically about what the protagonist is experiencing. He's basically saying, don't let your mind get stuck in that well. Like, you have to break free of the well. Anyway, I would encourage you to explore a possible story within a story, or some other form of digression in the middle of your book, if that's the way forward for your protagonist. Maybe that's the only way they can move forward in the book. The next step to fixing your novel's middle, which honestly not enough writers think about, is number 4, ditch your oversimplistic structures.
All right. Ditch your oversimplistic structures.
Hey, if you've been following a lot of screenwriting advice, and maybe you think like, oh, I'm gonna figure out the 3-act structure for my story, I find that a lot of writers end up running out of steam because they have chosen a structure which is just a little bit oversimplistic. If you think about movie advice, I feel like that is a storyline which matches up better with short stories rather than with movies. And I think this is borne out by the evidence. There are so many short stories that end up being adapted in a film, from Minority Report to Brokeback Mountain. And that's because those two are equivalent. So I think when you're writing a novel, sometimes when screenwriting advice...
Yeah, see, I think that's actually a really good point. It is a lot easier to turn a short story than a fucking novel into a movie. Because you're more over expanding on the short story than you are crunching down, like, the book. I had an idea once for a film that follows the life of an American kid as he grows up, finds love, joins the military during World War II, goes to Europe, and then just gets shot in the head out of nowhere. No clean resolution, so much unfinished business. But so true, Wombat. So fucking true. Because that's how it happens. You're just going about your day, and then the next thing you know, you're fucking dead. That's it. It's over. It's done. What are you going to do about it? Nothing.
This fails is because a novel is not equivalent to a film. It would be much better to compare a television series to a novel. That is an equivalent amount of storytelling space. So you need a more complex structure for your novel. Perhaps a 7-point story structure novel, which I have covered in some of my other videos. Or perhaps if you need a lot of advice, you go to something like Save the Cat, which has more beat-by-beat points of what you need at every single point in the story. That's advice that will get you through the middle of your novel.
True.
And I'll just make 2 comments about the more complex structure you need in the middle. One, you need to just not have setbacks, but an escalating series of setbacks. So you don't have one setback.
Save the Cat is such a good book. Apparently, I've never read it, but apparently I should because, yeah. Everyone, like every single one of the authors that or editors, like YouTube channels that I've watched, every single one of them has mentioned Save the Cat multiple times.
It's more like a setback, and then a little bit forward, and then another setback, and a little bit forward, and another setback, and a little bit forward. So
steps
an escalating series where every single one is getting a little bit
back.
more intense and more at stake. And the other thing I will say about the middle is make sure you know where you are going towards. If you don't know your ending, of course you're going to struggle in the middle because you're floundering. You're like, where's this story going? You're treading water. If you know the ending, if you know where you're going towards, then it'll be easier to write this middle section, and you'll be able to come up with those story plot beats in an easier way. The fifth and final point about structure, before we transition into the 4 points about characters that will help the middle of your novel, is number 5, don't forget
True. It's like $10. Yeah, but the problem is I'd never read it. I always forget. I shouldn't open that because it has all my shit on it. I should not open Amazon on... $11. Well, it's damn. It's half price. It is what it is. Subplot. So let's look at subplot. We've got Husai and Hildebrandt. We've got Husai and Zaid. We've got Husai and the Viceroy. We have Varius and Gluttony. What else? Tree politics. I mean, just the Beastmen in general. Genetic engineering of avian and insectoids. Monarchs lost bloodline. Guys, I think we have a lot of fucking subplots. Because they're not just subplots between characters, they're subplots over the overall structures of the book. Like the Beastman society itself and how it's ruled over through religion and dogma by the dragons. How there's no real history inside of the tree, but everything plays on a very, very, very simple political structure. And the reason why the Monarch's bloodline is so important is because of the genetic enhancements, and that goes as well with the avians and the insectoids. And those are just the ones I can think off the top of my head. So I think we're actually pretty, like, stuffed with subplot.
Subplot. Some of the time, when writers are struggling with middles, it's because they're focused so much on their main plot, and they don't have any other breathing room. They don't have any other parallel storylines that they can jump into for a moment that expands that section before they go back to the main plot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if all you have is a main plot, then maybe like you're writing more of a novella length piece than a true novel, and you definitely need those subplots to expand what your novel space is doing. For an easy example of this, think about Breaking Bad. When you think about the main plot of Breaking Bad, it's Walter White transforming himself from this mild-mannered chemistry teacher into this savage drug meth kingpin. But the story would be a lot thinner if we didn't have multiple subplots.
Like Jesse or his wife and kid.
Think about Jesse Pinkman's parallel storyline where he struggles with guilt, and he struggles with addiction, and he tries to find his own moral compass. Or also think about the whole antagonist subplot, where you have...
Don't forget parallels. It's always great when microplots parallel microplots. A war between two factions paralleled by an analogous ideological character struggle of the protagonist. That is kind of what we have, Wombat, because he, like as Husai learns more information, and he's not necessarily a Beastman sympathizer, but he's not racist in the fact that, like, most other people, like, racism and speciesism between species and stuff is an extremely big subplot, too. Because it's what's dividing most of the people. Their allergies are kicking my backside. Much as I'd love to keep the stream up, I just can't do it right now. Have a blast, everyone. All right, Sean, have a great day. Man, you're just winning all day, which is losing. Let's see if I... Oh, my God, I finally won! So racism is actually kind of a really big one, and Husai's always contemplating the idea of why people think on such levels of intellect and, like, positioning. Of saying, oh, I'm better than. So is he just not racist from the get-go, or does he decide on that after some back and forth? He's logical. So he thinks to himself, well, why do people not like avians and insectoids? Well, the octopi don't because they think that they challenge their power structure. And the octopi want to put down the avians and insectoids because they don't want to lose their overarching ability inside of the government, because the reason is because the monarch and the viceroy, because of the bloodline, everyone believes that they have the power over the tree. So they're extremely important for bloodline purposes. But their concubines are voted in by the people. So only female octopi have any chance of being like the president or the vice president. So unless they have some sort of way of separating the vice presidency and the presidency from the concubine state of the monarch, then there will never be a point where an avian or an insectoid could be either the president or the vice president. And even all the heads of most of the government are still all octopi. And so that gives the avians and insectoids reasoning to want to hate on beastmen, because the octopi look down on them, so they want to be able to look down on the beastmen. And this is all simply because the structure of the government isn't developed very much. It's only been like 600 years, and they haven't had enough time to create a well enough structure to facilitate what actually needs to happen. So it's just been like a boiling point inside of the tree, where you have the fanatics who hate beastmen and don't even want beastmen to be allowed to be adventurers, and they're like, no, they can't come inside of the tree. And then there's beastmen sympathizers who are like, there's no difference between the beastmen and any other race, like, we should be allowing the beastmen to come into the tree and be allowed to be adventurers as long as they can prove themselves. So there's like this massive clash inside society between these two sides of, like, basically racism. And it's all for, like, perspective ability to look down on someone else. That's where everything stems from. But since Husai is human, he's like, I am my own race. Like, there's no one else that's like me. I don't even know what my species is called. All I know is I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that. And I don't know what else there is. If a group historically kills their group more in Group B, would strict logic dictate to keep their guard up more around group members of Group A than Group B, and or trust them less, even if Group A and B is immutable in the individual? I want to clarify, I am not implying this is the real world in any way, shape, or form. True, Wombat. The problem is that conflict is not really a thing, because the only way you can actually die is if your head gets cut off, and that's basically the only thing that's illegal. And if you want to do combat, there's literally, we have, like, we call it the bottom 15, and it's the bottom 15% of Thought Wombat was going mask off for there for a second. When they find out more about the history and the past of the world in the old world, it's the problem they don't have a history right now, and the history and religion and stuff that they pull off of in spirituality is all from the Beastmen. So it's kind of also this duality where they're drawing their inspiration from the Beastmen while claiming the Beastmen are inferior to them. Which is the, oh, I say one thing but I do another. Right? And that's kind of the contradiction. But the fanatics are just basically crazy people. They're the, like, 2% of people that are too scared to do drugs, too scared to mate, too scared of violence, that they will promote violence and those things in a safe space as long as it doesn't affect them. And they're basically like Karens that their only existence is to make other people's lives worse because that's the only way they can justify their own existence. And just that 2% of the population is enough to like push the scales for the people basically sitting on the fence. Because it's the idea that they're advocating for something whereas no one is advocating against it because they think it's so stupid. So just slowly over time, they just continuously press extreme rhetoric that converts people over. And before you know it, there's more people than you could ever imagine that think that way. Even though there's no logical reason for it. And I think that's a big piece to put on 13, what's up? Not much. We're talking about racism and speciesism and how my main character isn't racist, but a lot of other people in the world are, and the reasons why he's not racist. And it's like he's very logical. I used to be a genuine bigot back in middle school. I got fixed in high school. I was deep in the rabbit hole. Damn, Wombat. Hey, man, it's coming back. It's like Asmund says, man, it's fucking coming back. Cause people are fucking dumb, and the Democratic Party can't give up fucking race war shit. Doing amazing. I finished all 6 chapters before my deadline. Fuck yeah, 13. That's what it's all about, bro. Feels good to finish that shit, right? But yeah, because thinking logically, it doesn't make any sense for... Like, you could just be an advocate for changing the way that the governmental structure works. Me, when the left in the U.S. is too far right for me. Very good. Yes, yes. It is an egg salad! Yeah. So it's like there's no real reason. He's never had an experience that's made him feel like... anyone is above anyone else. And that's, again, mainly because he's human. He's not on anyone's side. He's on his own side. So if anything, the reason that he's not racist is he hates everyone equally. My grandpa ain't racist. He hates everyone.
Hank Schrader's pursuit of Walt, and we see him go step by step trying to locate who this meth kingpin is. So if you're struggling with content in the middle, try to find a good subplot or 2 subplots to run alongside your main plot. Okay, so let's transition into characters, because characters really can help us fix our middles. And for the first one, we're going to look at number 6, make them face...
Make them face their main fear. What is Husai's main fear? Husai's main fear is that he is the chosen one and he has some grand task that he must complete in his life. The pressure of this has always weighed on him, and he gave up on this long ago due to reasons, we'll just say. But yeah, he basically lost his faith. So he has to confront the reality that he's important. Reality that he is important. His importance revolves around Gaia and her influence, directing him towards Fafnir and away from the monarch. Wait, he's an octopus, right? No, the main character is human. He's basically like a super buff, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, two-handed sword wielding motherfucker. But he's the only human, and that's due to genetic engineering and manipulation by Gaia over time through the Viceroy. Because the Viceroy has been her vessel in that small piece of the partitioned brain that she was able to take control of. And whenever the Viceroy is in proximity to Husai, the closer he is to Husai, the stronger Gaia's influence is on that partitioned mind. Until something has to, like, set it off, like a plan or something like that, or... I still haven't figured out how that works, but there'll be something along those lines. But, yeah. A fish bit his toe and it hurt. I mean, you could have that for any... Dude, okay, no, Wombat, okay, get this, because in the main city, right, so there's the tree that grows out of the volcano. And then around the volcano is the city of Ifrit. And in this entire area, because it's a very jungle, tropical area, the beastmen that are around it are Sahagin. And Sahagin are fish people. So make one of the characters afraid of fish, and then he's like, oh shit, Sahagin! And it's like he has like a phobia of Sahagin because of a fish. And it's just like a PTSD trauma moment. Like maybe he like... Yeah, like he got bit by something, but he's like, you know, something like Shanks kind of thing, where like he lost an arm, he lost an appendage, maybe it could be an octopi and he lost his left leg. If you know, you know. They're afraid of normal fish, so those fish would turn that up to 11. Exactly. Exactly. And that would just be fucking great to play with. I fucking love it. It's so simple, it's so easy, and it gets the job done. Makes characters seem real. Pythagoras is famously afraid of beans. As the story goes, he was killed when he got cornered near a bean field. Better I be killed where I stand than trample on beans, were allegedly his final words. Wow, that's quite interesting. That's a random irrational fear. Some things you just can't logic, guys. Some things you just cannot logic. Let's see. So, Varius's worst fear. His plays failing his audience. Wait, didn't we just have an ad break, or were we counting down to an ad break? Am I retarded, guys? I think I'm retarded. Wait. Ah, I'm retarded. I wish it only showed me the one thing, not the other thing. I swear, we just had a fucking ad break. But I guess I'm just fucking high. Tis what it is, boys. Can't do much more than that. You gotta earn your wings somehow. So let's see. Is plays failing his audience? And he has to face this. How? Okay, maybe Zayd's immortalization does not go as planned? Question mark? I'm also thinking maybe one of the plays. Fun fact, with Opera GX, you can see the stream without ads via the mini player. You are able to unmute the stream. Just gotta remember to remute it before you go back to the main stream or the audio doubles. Oh, I didn't know that, Wombat. That's crazy. Hell yeah. Fuck ads! I wish it didn't have ads. Get an ad block, get rid of those ads. No one gives a fuck about ads. I get like 12 cents. Fuck ads. Skip that shit. So bullshit. You shouldn't have to have ads until your partner. If your partner, yeah, I can see you're using bandwidth. But for an affiliate, you shouldn't have to fucking be forced ads to not have pre-rolls. So bullshit. So, Various' worst fear is his plays failing his audience. So maybe Zayd's immortalization doesn't go as planned, or he plans for a grand play for Beastman and it falls flat because his themes are too deep for them to understand. And he has to just come to terms with the fact that there's dumb people in the world who can't logic things out. I remember once I had a YouTube ad for the second Lego movie. It was the entire Lego movie, like a 2-hour ad. Was skippable, but I didn't skip it. I just watched the Lego movie that night again. Nice, Wombat. Did you know that they're apparently getting rid of the skip button? Oh, so maybe it was a bug. Because I heard people talking about Google's, like, somehow YouTube getting rid of the skip button. And there's ads that are like 45 minutes long. I don't pay for anything because this is how I think about it. I pay for one thing, then I pay for two things, then I pay for three things, then I pay for 4, then 5, then 12, then 20. Next thing you know, I'm broke. I do not spend fucking money. Necessity, that's it. The only per month plan I have is my phone, which I don't even pay. My parents do. Night, Sir Ito. Here is a random reply I picked from someone's dress choices. Cool. I'd say Ella's dress would be B, although I'd think she'd pick A, or perhaps E, since she is somewhat one with the elegance in her own dresses and fits that she whips up in her spare time, while also adventuring with Danny, Chris, and Yuri. Her besties, although Danny is the closest one to her since they grew up together and have also met someone that's close to them as well, that someone being Jake. Nice, Rick. Thanks for the excerpt, bro. That was great. I mean, I'm spending like 7 hours a day on YouTube, so... Yeah, I guess that's true, Wombat. I just use an ad block. Twitch is different, because I don't know how to ad block Twitch, but, like, I just use an ad block. As you can tell, none of the videos I watch have ads on them, because I use an ad blocker. But it's a good thing, because as Asmund says, same squad for the OG anime, by the way, just missing Robald and Bob. Ah, nice. As Asmund says, there are those people... Oh, fuck. Okay. Nope. See, there's these times when the TV freaks out, and it's not the entire system. So, like, my TV just went black, and it's, like, still black right now. But it hasn't shifted anything around. So, I'm not sure. But it should come back, but it's not coming back. So I'm going to turn the TV off, and I'm going to turn it back on. That usually fixes it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go fuck with the HDMI cable. Okay. This might be a TV problem. It's not even... Okay, there it goes. It brought up the LG. There we go. Okay, we're back. We're back. Sometimes it does that. I'm glad it only happened to the TV, because it's like, if the whole system freaks out, that's the PC. That's a problem. If just the TV freaks out, this is like a 12-year-old TV. I could just go buy another one. It's not a fucking problem. Alright. Back to what I was saying. Asmin and Adblocks. I'll just give you their full names. Jake Takahashi, Ella Matsuda, Chris Suzuki, Yuri Matsumoto, Danny Akiyama, Bob Sato, and Robald Tanaka. Tizall. Nice, Rick. Great names. Fucking love it. But there's those people that no matter what the ad is, they'll never buy the product, and that's me. So there's no point, like, I'm a wasted ad. If you're giving people money to show me an ad, you're fucking up, because I will never buy that product. You will never influence me with an ad. So, you want me to have an ad blocker, so that way you don't have to pay for me to not buy your product. But yeah, that's the way I see it. Let's see, something like Walker. Worst fear is embarrassing themselves in combat. Something like tries to do a night, Cerrito. Wanted to say hello. All is all. Night, everyone. True, Rick. Have a good night, good sir. Take care. I mean, ads won't influence me is kind of cap. It's the same energy as propaganda doesn't work on me. No, I just mean that I don't spend money, Wombat. Like, for instance, if you showed me an ad for something... I live in a very small town. I live in Canada. So most likely, whatever it is, unless it's like an Amazon product, which I would only buy if it was like it's just like, and if you were like promoting a movie or something like that, I pirate everything. So it's not that the ad doesn't influence me. It's that like I don't eat fast food. I have a very pretty basic meal regiment, right? Like I don't do anything for entertainment, really. And if I'm watching anything, so it's kind of like that, right? As opposed to anything else. It's just like, it's not like you're going to show me a picture of something on Temu and I'm going to all of a sudden buy it. Like, oh my god, I didn't know that existed! You know, like that's not... I'm not that type of person. So it's like I'm just in that like 1% where it's like it's probably better for companies that I use an ad block because they won't be paying for me to watch the ads instead of the other way around. They're just wasting their money on me. And they're also making me I'll see an ad for, let's say I see an ad for McDonald's. If I was going to fast food, I wouldn't go to McDonald's because I saw that ad. So it's like I'm just like I'm just like super adverse to it, where I will force my opinion in the opposite direction just because I'm frustrated. It's like if something pops up to rate, I will rate it a 1, saying get the fuck out of my face. I didn't ask for a review. I didn't ask to give a review. I don't want to do a fucking study. Get the fuck out of my face. But if I like the product and I like the thing, then I'll give it a review. Anyway, I gotta head out. It's late and I gotta work in the morning. I gotta fix mouse input in my game tomorrow. Ooh, good stream. Hell yeah, Wombat. Take care, buddy. Thanks for hanging out and coming by, good sir. Take care. Have a great night. Always good to see you. Tries to do a complex combat move and fails, almost gets killed, has to be saved by a J-Man or something. I mean, I'm just like giving examples, right? So that's like the basic. Yeah, sure, we got to make them face their fears. We got that.
Fear. In the beginning of your novel, it's good to set up a character who has very strong aversions to something, have a very strong fear to something, or maybe they just say, I will never do that. So once you've set that up, the middle of the novel is a perfect place to make them do the thing that they are deeply afraid of. Look at a story.
That's kind of how it starts off, because Usai's like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be the chosen one. Fuck that. Get out of here. That's not how this shit works. I spent my whole life trying to do it, and now you're telling me now's the time? All I had to do was give up, and that's when I start succeeding? Fuck that.
Chief Brody, who in the beginning of the storyline is deeply afraid of water. Well, that's just perfect fodder for writing the middle of the book, because obviously he's going to be pushed out to sea. He's going to have to make that choice to go to the ocean to try to hunt down Jaws. So his character contains the kernel of what the middle plot should be. Or think about the novel Room by Emma Donoghue. The characters are trapped inside a small room, a mother and her son, and the mother's greatest fear is that her son will be hurt or die. But she has to risk that in order to escape. She has to roll her son up in this carpet and, you know, hope he doesn't suffocate or hope the man who's imprisoning her doesn't kill her son. She has to risk that in order for them to try to escape. So if your character doesn't have a gigantic fear in the beginning of your novel, well, give them one. And that will help you with writing the middle of your novel as they have to confront that fear. This next point is the doozy.
Well, it kind of is, because I guess another fear, we could also say that Husai's like main fear is losing people under his command. And being the reason that people die under him. So we could actually like work a lot more with that. Husai's fear that he will cause someone under his command to die. Zaid's death. It's ironic because it's not someone under his command. Zaid would have lived if he was under his command. So I think that works really, really well with Zaid's death. Boom. Done.
Which will solve a lot of the problems in the middle of your novel. It is number 7. Deliberately
Oh, that's a good one. Deliberately sabotage your protagonist's strengths. You know how we do this, guys? You know what this is? This is the exile of the adventurers from the tree. They lose the main forges that can create artifact armor and weapons. So their highest tier of equipment is no longer repairable or craftable. Resetting the type of equipment characters can use for a almost one-sided battle against Fafnir. Resetting the type of equipment. This makes low-tier gear more important. And when the time comes when characters put on their real gear, you know the tension is on. Nice. So yes, we really do sabotage this, and we lose a lot of our abilities. Which is crafting. Crafting is like the main part of being an adventurer. You need gear and equipment to be maintained and up, and only the best forges made, which are inside the tree, have the capacity to create the best armor. Plus, now you've lost, like, because some of the, like, those, like, the crafters that were part of the Adventurers Guild also got kicked out of the tree. Anyone who was, like, a crafter or anything like that, who had associations with the tree. And it's like, I don't know if that whole branch is just going to be, like, fucking removed from the tree. It could be another huge thing where it just fucking, they just chop the fucker off and it just fucking falls to the ground, destroys fucking everything around it. Just falls into the lava and it's just like another piece hanging out, gets devoured by the roots. But that might make it accessible again. So maybe not, but we'll see. So, boom. We nailed another one, guys.
Your protagonist's strengths. So in the first half of your novel, your protagonist probably succeeded by using whatever intelligence or powers that they had to overcome the obstacles. That's great. That's classic storytelling right there. So the trick might be for the second half of your middle is to take that away from them. Mm-hmm. This forces them to adapt in all sorts of creative ways and gives you a lot of storytelling fodder to go in new directions. Look at a movie like Spider-Man 2. We have Peter Parker, who's doing fine and dandy as Spider-Man, but then all of a sudden he starts to lose his powers. So then he's forced to compensate for that. He's forced to figure out, like, what are these issues of self-doubt and stuff that is causing me to lose my powers? And he has to go through those obstacles and go on that journey to try to regain his powers. And for all of you who aren't writing superhero stories, which is a lot of you, I think this advice is just as applicable. If you have a character who is super analytical, then you try to force them into very emotional territory where they just feel out of their depth. If they are very physically powerful, then you might render them helpless through circumstance. Now, this advice obviously requires that you have established, like, what these character strengths are so you can sabotage them. So yes, it does.
So establish character strengths. Sabotage character strengths. Watch character evolve through trials without their strengths.
It does require some character setup, but the reversal by taking away those strengths is going to be a great way to fuel the middle of your novel. This next point, I think, is probably the best one in this entire video.
All right.
It is number 8. Have them question or change.
Have them question or change their desire. Sai doesn't want to be a leader, he is forced to. He wants to be an observer. He has to take command because he's the only one who can do it. His new desire is to keep those under him safe. if having to accept being the chosen one is what will keep them, the people under him, safe, will he accept that?
Change their desire. So obviously at the beginning of your novel you set up some sort of strong character desire for your protagonist. That's awesome, that's great. A lot of people, they keep that same desire throughout the whole novel, and I think it's a better tip if halfway through that desire or goal gets changed or altered in some way. Look at The Godfather by Mario Puzo. You have Michael Corleone, who at the beginning his desire is simply to have a very normal life with Kay, but then halfway through the book, there is an attempted assassination on his father. And he steps into the ring, goes to a restaurant meeting, and ends up assassinating 2 men. So his entire desire changes from wanting to have a normal life to wanting to enlarge his father's mafia empire and slaughter those who oppose him. Another great example of this is in Minority Report with Tom Cruise. In the beginning, he is a very dutiful employee, and he just wants to run the pre-crime unit and stop murders before they happen. But in the first half of the middle, his desire completely changes. He gets accused of a pre-crime, and so his desire is, oh, I just want to clear my name. But then in the second half of the middle, that desire expands into a much broader goal. He wants to dismantle the entire pre-crime unit because he feels like it's being abused. So listen, don't wait until the very end of your story to have character change.
Don't wait until end of story to have character change. Always be pressing towards new heights with your characters.
Make them change their desire perhaps 2 or 3 times throughout the story, and that will help propel your story towards the end. Now it's time for the very last thing that you can do to help the middle of your novel out, and it is number 9, add backstory.
Add
so where
backstory.
Doesn't work very well is often in the beginning of a novel, because we don't yet have the present moment
So Husai was an adventurer who moved up the ranks super fast. He became well known and the leader of the best alliance of top adventurers. He left the adventurers to become the adventurer guild master so he could create the illusion experiment I guess facility, or I guess illusion branch of the Mages Guild. After years of failing at it, he gives up on it. 20 years later, he is a regretful bureaucrat. Oh my god, I still can't spell bureaucratic. Where the hell does... He's a regretful bureaucrat. Jesus, that took way too long. Discovery of the calm pearl sets him into action. He now has a purpose. Find out if he's being blackmailed and what this information means. Yep, we got that pretty much down.
Built up yet, and so you don't really have enough of a story to take time to go into backstory. However, by the middle of your novel, you've really set up the engine, the plot engine of your story really well, and now you have earned yourself the right to like take a chapter and go into your character's backstory, if it's right for the type of book you're trying to write. And what you're looking for is...
And that's how it gives us backstory, because it starts out with this massive mystery about like, okay, so Husai himself is in here, and Husai's being claimed that this happened, but he says that he didn't do it, and he's going to his trusted, like, highest friends in the government, essentially, like Sid, Varius, and the Viceroy himself. But he doesn't want to show it to the Viceroy until Sid has confirmed it's not him. The question of whether he shows it to the Viceroy or not is still the question of, do we ever learn if it was the Viceroy? I don't even know if it was the Viceroy. It should be the Viceroy. That's the only thing that makes sense, is that it was the Viceroy. Because that would be Gaia initiating what has to happen, because now, all of a sudden, Fafnir's on the move. And it's like he's had that 50 years to build up buying an army, essentially, and getting the Beastmen together.
Want backstory that explains a character decision in the present moment story, or backstory that just helps us to get to know this character so we understand what they are going to do next. I think of a novel like Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. The novel starts with the protagonist's present day story, and then we go into the backstory of the family history and all the incestuous relationships that led to the creation of this particular character and his or her problems, because he or she is Middlesex. Now, I will say to be careful with this one. Backstory is dangerous, especially if it goes on too long and we lose sight of the present moment story. And it's also dangerous because, you know, not every book needs backstory. Sometimes it's fine to leave backstory as mysterious. You really need a reason why that backstory is essential for the middle of your novel. If it does not propel the story forward in some sort of way, you're better off leaving it out.
Yeah.
I hope that helps you with the middle of your novel. Please watch another video of mine, like this one, subscribe to the channel,
True.
or check out some